Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Robbie with me. We've just lost 2-1 to Lyon here in the Champions League, the first leg of the Women's Champions League. Robbie, we were sat next to each other. Do you feel disappointed? Do you understand this is Lyon? They're very successful in this competition. A lot of respect was shown. Or you frustrated that Arsenal didn't come away with anything today?
A little bit frustrated that we didn't get at least a draw. I think a draw would have been fair, you know what I mean? But you've got to credit Lyon, right? They look very, very sharp. And when they got their chances, they missed an absolute sitter early in the first half. But the other two chances, they were sharp. They took them really, really well. And that was sort of the difference. So a little bit sharp. I thought Arsenal in the first half, we looked a little nervous. I know it's a semi-final, it's a big game. Nobody wants to make a mistake. Nobody wants to sort of overcommit. But I thought that we were just a bit too cautious in that first half.
Nerves or respect? Too much respect?
I feel nerves. I feel probably a little bit of both. You're playing Lyon, who are the best, over the years, they've always been the best. They've won the Champions League the most times.
8 times I heard, and they said I heard only conceded 2 goals in Champions League this campaign.
Yeah, they're a very, very good side. So you can understand why Arsenal was showing the respect, and you can understand why we're a bit nervous. Yeah. But they got the goal in the first half, Lyon, and they looked pretty comfortable. Even though we had a lot of the ball, but in the second half, I've got to credit Arsenal. They came out, they attacked, they shed off the nerves, and they increased the intensity, and they look really good. And we had we hit the crossbar just before half time, and then in the second half, we had a few chances. We had a few chances. Got the penalty. I still don't know what the penalty was for.
No, not one person has come on here and said.
You're a bit like the other night. You're in the stadium. You're probably the last person to know what the actual penalty is for, because I think that's where they need to explain.
Yeah.
Like where they've been trialing this thing where they go on the microphone and they tell you what it's for. Because like the other night when we was in Real Madrid.
Yeah.
We were like, even when he went over to the screen, we like,
for Real Madrid.
Yeah, who's he gone? We were like, probably we know the Real Madrid corruption rumours, right? Is that for Real Madrid? Like the one today, I was like, what's it for? But
they didn't show it on the replay. They didn't show it on the screen. They should have. Maybe they could have really shown it on the screen.
No, they got to sort that out, because the fans in the ground need to know what's going on. Yeah. But we get the penalty. We bury the penalty, and then we're still looking good after that. And then sucker punch. Yeah. I think that was their first attack, literally, of the second half, and they bury it, and it's 2-1. But it's not over yet. 2-1. Can be turned around. Kenny was saying to me the last time we played Lyon, we went away there and we turned it around. And I think this team's got it within them to turn it around, you know what I mean? But they're going to have to up their game in the second leg.
Definitely. I remember the penalty was about to be taken. We were saying, don't dink it. Don't do a Saka. Don't do a Saka. However, I took the penalty very well.
Yeah, brilliant penalty.
But were you frustrated a little bit that... Because when I sat there, the reaction to when we conceded, when they made it 2-1, there was still a little bit of time left. I mean, some people come on and said the substitutions didn't really make sense to them, but I think like Arsenal had the momentum. That was a killer blow, but there was no response from that.
Yeah, there was. It was right near the end, and you know what? Sometimes you've got to be careful, because if that 2-1 turns into 3-1, the tie's over. You know what I mean? So you've got to say to yourself, let's live to fight another day, right? At 2-1, you can go over to Lyon, you can get an early goal, and then all of a sudden, you're back to level, and it's a different game. You know what I mean? Keep it within 1, you got a chance. If you start, if it's like a 2-goal, then you got trouble. You know what I mean? It's very, very hard to turn that around. So I can understand why they, and I've got to credit Lyon. They're a good side. They defended very, very well. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. I think in the first half we should have been a little bit more intense. Yeah. But maybe that's just the experience of Lyon in this competition that showed why they were just, they had a little bit more about them. But it ain't over yet. You know what I mean? These women, I saw it. Let's not forget, right? In the last tie, in the last round against Real Madrid, they were 2-0 down. Yeah. And I know it was here, the second leg, but they turned it around, right? So they know they can do it. And they just got to have that belief. They just got to have that belief, man. And I believe they can go there and turn it around. You know what I mean? This women's team, they've got some very, very good players. They've got strong characters there. And I believe they can turn it around. And, I thought Russo today was a bit quiet. But is it the injury that she's been carrying?
Also service. Did she get much service?
Didn't get a lot of service, but I just thought, was it maybe the injury she's been carrying a bit? Maybe she might be a little bit sharper come the second leg. But a little bit disappointing, but it ain't over yet. I don't want... If I was talking to any of those girls, I'd be saying, don't make your heads drop. It's only half time.
Yeah, and it's only one goal that you know you're behind there. Let me ask you this to finish then. You've had a really good couple of weeks. Saudi, you've been in Madrid. You got to witness some amazing stadiums. Now I want to ask you about this. I want to ask you. I saw you. We walked in together. Was behind the marching band. Really good atmosphere. Sun's out. It was in there. 40,000 people in attendance. Did you the vibe here? Did you enjoy coming to seeing the women's game?
Absolutely loved it. I think what Arsenal women have done over the years, right, has been absolutely incredible. You know what I mean? Like the support they get. They played a lot of their games at the Emirates this year. Yeah. And have had amazing support. 40,000 fans here today, absolutely incredible. And what I like about the women's game is that they've got their own crowd. Like when I first started going to women's games, you used to find a lot of overspill from maybe say the men's game. Yeah. Guys that can't get tickets went along, you know, took their kids. But what I've noticed now, they've got their own crowd. They've got their own sort of, you know, Ashburton Army equivalent. Yeah. They've got their own support. Yeah. You know what I mean? Literally, when I say own support, obviously we're all Arsenal fans, but you know what I mean? Like, I remember there was when we played Man City, was it Man City? There was a game we played earlier on this season where it clashed with the women's game and they still packed it out. You know what I mean? So they're doing incredible with the women's game. Arsenal are really leading the way with this, and I think it's something that we can be really proud of. And I keep urging everybody, get down to some of these games. They're brilliant, you know what I mean? And these women, they are really, really good. I mean, there's the only difference I see, really, when you go to a women's game and a men's game is just the pace of the game. The men's game is quicker and a little bit more physical, although some of them Lyon women's, they were very physical and very quick. But, you know, but apart from that, like, technically they're very good. I think at Arsenal women, they play literally exactly the same as the men's. Very technically gifted, move the ball around really well. And yeah, I love coming to these games. You know what I mean? I love coming to, and you know, like you said, I've been able to see some very good football over the past couple of weeks, and this is included. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, the quarterfinals that I came to here when they beat Real Madrid, that's amongst one of the best games that I've been to. Not just this season, for a long time. It was absolutely brilliant.
3-0 and then 3-0 again with the men's and women's.
And all they've got to do now, go and do that again. Go and do that. They can. They've got to have belief that they can turn it around. The prize is a final. A final. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if the men and the women got to a final. I mean, it'd be absolutely awesome. So it ain't over yet. They can still turn it around.
Ain't over yet. It could be Barcelona for the men and the women's in the final. Let's fingers crossed. Let's hope that comes true. Thank you very much, Robbie. Love, my brother. Love.